Without great discoveries, it's almost impossible to do innovation. So we do need both. And what we're trying to create at Rothamsted is a vibrant environment where people feel inspired to do really exciting science. But what we want to make sure is that that exciting science has every opportunity to move into the next space of being engaged and useful with people. So one of the things that I've been working on introducing at Rothamsted is called Lean. And Lean is a methodology that originally started in the manufacturing industries like Toyota actually, but more and more taken up by startups and entrepreneurs. Because Lean is a method of engaging early with your ideas so that you test your riskiest assumptions. Now, one of those assumptions could be that it's acceptable to society. So if that's a really big risk about what you're working on, particularly important for disruptive innovations, you need to be having those conversations early. It's about making sure it's adoptable and accessible and wanted by everyone. So Lean in this context would mean encouraging scientists much earlier on to test some of those ideas, even when they're not quite ready. Because understanding from other people how they react to that should help them shape those ideas much better, so that by the time they finish their research, it will be much more useful. What we need to try to build is a more learning support culture where people understand that failure, actually learning from failure, is very, very important. And if you show that you're learning from failure, you're not a failure. And I think that that's not something, that's a bit alien. It's not something that's in our current environment. It's all about success. One of the biggest problems with disruptive innovation is, by definition, you might displace a prevailing industry or technology. So clearly, those people, unless they're doing the disruption themselves, are going to be nervous or worried about that. They'll see it as a threat. So to really transform agriculture, we need to have independent people who are able to think about the discoveries as they are, understand the innovations and the needs as they are, without those vested interests. And I think that's where Rothamsted could play a really strong and important role. It's very important to listen to people and not all the time tell people what you think. We had a meeting recently with farmers where, instead of us explaining to them what we felt were knowledge gaps or areas of importance in farming, we asked them to highlight what they felt were the most important aspects of their farming system that resulted in success. And the first thing was, for me, how surprising it was how similar the main elements were that each of these groups came up with, despite the huge diversity of those farming systems. Building the evidence together, their observations and our scientific inquiry will provide some really robust data that anyone could use to then improve the soil health. I foresee that we will see more diverse, so smaller fields, diverse in time as well, so that one year you'll be looking out the window and it'll look like this, the next year you'll look out the window and it'll look quite different, with different crops, or even animals integrating with the crop production. Maybe a lot more bespoke machinery, which is smaller but doing very precise tasks. So we might see vertical farming in towns. We might see some exciting transformations where there'll be a little bit of a mixture of that. And there'll be more food production taking place in urban areas as well. We'll be able to monitor much more precisely. We'll be able to look at how much is being lost in the environment in a much more sensitive way. So I believe that many of these technologies will help us move towards a much more environmentally friendly agriculture, which will have technology in its centre, but in a way that allows us to produce more food, but at the same time protect the environment.